try a dex build, because when you bleed an enemy, that's like a free 1/3 of their health bar. You can see why girls keep periods a secret.
The narrative of a feckless and divided West solidified for years. We as Americans were feeling unsure of ourselves, so it was only reasonable that Putin would feel it too. In such a context, and after 4 years of Donald Trump and the domestic turmoil that he wrought, it was tempting to valorize restraint and limited engagements abroad. Worried about imperial overreach, most of the American left opposed direct U.S. military action against Bashar al-Assad's regime in the early 2010s, even though it was Russian and Iranian intervention on behalf of Syria's dictator that bore the marks of a real imperial enterprise, not just an imagined one.
They have very successfully made it so America did absolutely nothing in Syria.
Yeah, right. No, he just said it. That word direct is the load-bearing frame of that sentence. Oh, no. People were opposed to direct U.S. military invasion of Syria other than, I don't know, arming half of the fucking country.
Yeah, I would say that we spent probably just in pure dollar amount a comparable amount to Russia. But yeah, nonetheless, I want to go back a little bit to Afghanistan and Iraq, and I've noticed this a lot in the Brookings sphere, that they have successfully branded Iraq and Afghanistan as blunders, as missteps.
Yep.
When any of these other bad countries in the multipolar world do something, it is a deliberate evil act to dominate, humiliate, and extract. When America does it, it's whoops.
Oops.
Oh, whoops. We accidentally occupied this country for 20 years. We were accidentally bodyguards for the pedophile warlords of Afghanistan. Whoops. We accidentally extracted wealth and just did a fucking circular embezzlement scheme in Iraq. We accidentally did all this.
Oops.
Who knows how we did this? Maybe we left our keys in the car and we ended up over here.
We accidentally wore our gray sweatpants to the Vase Museum and got a boner and knocked them all over. Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh, sorry, guys.
If you bring up any of this stuff, you're accused of having an America-centric vision of the world, right? You're like, oh, you're just focusing on America. Not everything's about America. But what these people see here is an opportunity to just make America great again, but in a liberal sense.
But at the end of the day, it can't be done.
Nope.
Because the capacity is gone. And when you consider how insulated from public opinion and democratic accountability of any kind foreign policy is, there's no way you can argue that there's anything about national mood or will in the general pop culture sense that is influencing the decision making. And it has since Obama was in office and decided not to enforce that red line in Syria, which is the original sin according to a lot of these people. At no point can you realistically say that a public opinion is making these decisions. These decisions are being made by fucking bureaucrats, by the deep state, by people who are operating off of cost-benefit analysis and what's possible, what we can get away with. They are doing and have been doing everything they can. The idea that there's anything that they haven't been doing out of the goodness of their heart or because they're spooked by some crisis of confidence does not exist.
I mean,
that gap is a fantasy. You know what that spot is? That's fucking Havana syndrome for these fucking people. That is the fantasy exterior cause of a internal malady that they can't address. And, and for them, it's that failure of America's power. And so they assume, no, there's a thing we could be doing that we're not doing. And if we did do it, we'd win. But no, things are the way they are because that capacity has been degraded. And they can't fucking face it.
There's been a lot of crying about people who got exactly what they wanted.
Yes.
Yep.
If you go back in time long enough, you will see people complaining about that Americans have a simplistic, dumbed down version of foreign policy that always defaults into some sort of low IQ isolationism, which I would always argue is better than whatever the fuck this is. But they have gotten what they wanted by design. Americans do not give a shit or want to give a shit or ever want to think about foreign policy. That is the only way you can have this world. But what is the consequence of that? The consequence is that not everyone is going to rally around the idea of invading Europe to make you feel good.
Okay, I'm looking at this is data from 2017, so it's a little bit outdated. But this is just a map of the most popular Pornhub search terms by state. And I got to say, this is a bit odd here because almost the entire United States including New York State, Illinois, the entire West Coast, all of the South, the Midwest, all of it, is lesbian, which is like, that's sort of quaint to me. I mean, that's like Americans' porn tastes are very softcore and vanilla. The states that are
sorry, it sounded like a bunch of Midwestern states are doing the lesbian, which
all the Midwest, almost all the Northeast, the entire West Coast, Southwest, Texas, South itself, Florida. It's lesbian. That is the number one Pornhub search term according to this map here. The outlier states are fucking New Hampshire, Montana, the Dakotas, and Iowa have searched MILF. That's their number one thing. And hilariously, Maryland, their number one search is ebony. And then hilariously, Alaska, the only state, number one search, hentai.
Oh,
it's the proximity to Japan. It's right there, right across the Bering Strait.
And
that's interesting. Do you think it's because maybe it's like, I don't know.
I think it's because
they have like limited social welfare. They have like some form of UBI in Alaska through oil, and like maybe it makes them more worldly.
Well, also it's got a very dramatic gender disparity. Demographically, there's a lot more men in Alaska than there are women. So, you're not seeing a lot of women in your day-to-day life. And so as you're walking around, all of a sudden, you're imagining that they've got tentacles or something.
Wait, okay, this is a better map. There's way more variation on this. This is relative terms searched more often when compared with other states. New York and Illinois, the term is orgy. Hilariously, Alaska, once again, really, it's the standalone state. Their search term that is searched more often than compared to other states is "do not come challenge."
Yeah, see, they're all warped by the lack of females in that state. It's turning them into mutants.
I mean, I have a foolproof one. I guess would it be doping if you took Wellbutrin before the no fapping challenge?
Absolutely, yeah. They'd have to piss test for that.
Yeah, that's like an EPO.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Both Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, the term giantess, giant women.
So is that like do they say if it's like a majority or is that just like a plurality?
I think it's like it is relatively more searched for there than in other states. That's
compared to other states. Compared to other states.
I mean, I don't even know how like accurate any of this is, but it's fun. And honestly, every time I hear it, it makes sense to me, and so I just choose to believe it.
Idaho is like, all those Great Plains states that have like 3,000 people in all of them combined. They're like, from what I understand, my limited understanding of it, it's like 1/3 Mormons, 1/3 like people who were at Ruby Ridge, and then 1/3 like Basques. Weirdly. Yeah. And with the first two groups, I don't know. There's something. Have you ever watched like a giantess fetish video?
I have not. I'm normal.
Well, it's actually pretty normal in a lot of states. But
I've seen art of like like a little man, and he's like, "Don't crush me with your giant feet." So the video, like a video. No, I've never searched that.
Okay, so videos are funny. There was a guy who made videos like this that they were kind of like a minor hit in like 10 years ago online. And you'd see them on Twitter a lot. And they had some like funny title. It was like, "Oh no, my wife shrank me" or something. And he filmed himself and then like made it so that his wife's foot or like her hand, or I don't know if I guess it's wishful thinking that it's his wife. Like how I like to think that the goatee man's wife took the picture as a wedding ring.
She's supportive. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's like, in these various situations, he's the size of an ant running around like his kitchen and shit. And he's like, "Oh no." And his wife just stomps on him. But it was like, sort of heavy set middle-aged man, mustache, George H.W. Bush, like aviator, seeing eyeglasses, and of the biggest marker, t-shirt tucked into jeans.
Oh yeah.
And it made me think, it's like, if that's like the group of guys that are most into this, it makes total sense. Like, I cannot see anyone else like being into it in big numbers, except for like middle-aged men.
Except for the states of Pennsylvania, Minnesota, and Virginia as well. Giantess.
Those states are filled with like middle-aged men.
Oh, and Virginia specifically filled with Beltway freaks.
Yeah.
Like, like Raytheon Acres types, or just like they get off just like going into their CAD program, or going onto their slanted desk and just building the specs for a giant sex bot. And then imagine selling it to the Pentagon for $50 billion.
Well, I'm starting to.
But the vagina falls out when it rains.
I think this is kind of the giantess thing, like being shrunk to an enormous size and being crushed and eaten by a woman. I think that's more of a thing for like conservative middle-aged men. I think if you actually really geolocated this and you went to actual Raytheon Acres, their porn searches are like, black person nods at you at dinner party approvingly and stuff like that. I think like the erstwhile conservatives is who I'm saying is into this.
As St. Patrick's Day approaches, oh boy, here we go. Get the Irish involved here. We rely on the grace of the South Side Irish. Let's hope they intervene and support their Italian friends, because they could give the mayor a nice thick bar of Irish Spring soap to hold meekly in her mouth. As penance, she could keep repeating, "It's magically delicious. It's magically delicious," past her teeth holding the soap as if it were a mouthful of tasty Lucky Charms.
Okay,
that is one of the weird. That is one of the strangest paragraphs. Just
no. That's just perverted, man. That's like
I think. And by the way, if he's talking about like ethnic groups getting befriended and they're all calling him and saying like, "We stand with you, John Cash," Irish people. We are not some fucking leprechaun caricature, and we don't like Irish Spring soap. Get that bullshit out of here.
I gotta say, this is the worst John Cass column I've ever read. And I have memories of reading John Cass in 1998 as a little boy. I heard my mom complaining about it, and I was curious when I saw the newspaper. This is the worst one. This is terrible. This is like just no energy. None of Cass's usual flourishes of depressing life, like looks into his life. Nothing. He's not even making like not even his usual like racist point that at least makes you go, oh, like what a terrible guy. It's literally all about cussing, and it's off the rail. Like, this is only acceptable to write something this bad and lethargic if like your son died that afternoon. This is terrible, John.
No, this is the Lion in Winter. This is him no longer at the newspaper and on his little blog.
He's right. Yeah, this is John Cass News. No editors. I
want to do a training montage where I get the old Cass back. I want to just wake him up at 5 a.m. every day and make him watch rap videos. Like
steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah. Dangle sausage behind a network of contraptions, and then when he gets to it, it's a hologram. I want to get the old cast back, because this is awful. This is depressing, man.
He's lost his fire.
Yeah,
this should really be like anybody who thinks like fucking Substack and that shit is like, oh, this is great. We don't need newsrooms and editors. We've got just direct access to the mind dollops of our thought leaders. It's like, yeah, this is what you get. Just zero quality control at all.
I do like the phrase, though. I do like the phrase "a mouthful of tasty Lucky Charms," because I imagine, John Cass, like he like secretes away hidden Ziploc bags of Lucky Charms so he can eat them secretly, so his wife doesn't yell at him or something.
I think John Cass hides, like, I feel like every trick that prisoners have for getting razor blades and drugs into prison, that's how John Cass gets candy around the house. I feel like he's used a knife to cut like a slit into his own cheek to put Tootsie Rolls in.
He's boofing fucking a Snickers bar.
Yeah. John Cass is in husband solitary for sneaking a payday into the ballet or whatever awful outing his wife took him on.
He's playing a harmonica and he turns to the Columbus statue next to him and says, "What are you in for?"
Being white. Eric Adams, he is really, I think, the only guy on deck.
Yeah,
for the president.
He's the only guy
for Democrats.
Celebrity too, which I think is probably what they I think that's what they have to do. Honestly, it's celebs or it's Eric Adams. You got nobody else. There are no other national figures on the Democratic Party that are known as anything other than fucking punching bags and heels that people want to throw fucking fruit at.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the celebrities that Democrats would pick, it would be someone that is, like, by all definitions, undisputably a celebrity, but just does not have anything that gets people excited. Like, it would be like John Legend is who they would pick.
My money's still on Oprah.
I mean, then, yeah, maybe could see him getting something done there.
I think she could peel off some Q moms. Honestly,
Yeah.
I do.
Eric Adams, I'm not saying I want him to be president or, like, same tact as I take in all this stuff. Like, hey, that's it's your guys' business. You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the DNC, if I'm James Carville or someone, I'm like, this is the only guy who can win the presidency
because he's the only guy who is having a good time.
Yeah,
he went to a Russian bath and he's like, ooh, I'm going to come back and treat myself.
Yeah, that's it, Matt. That's a great point. That he seems like he's having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see?
Huge.
It's like he ran for mayor so that he could like skip the line at Katz's.
Yeah,
like, so that he could have all the premium New York experiences without having to wait. Like he can go see he can go see the Statue of Liberty without having to wait for the boat.
Yeah, that's okay. That's exactly the type of person Eric Adams is he's like a native New Yorker who's lived there like 60 years and probably still goes to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Like at least
he
once
lives
a
in
month.
New Jersey, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
He's bridge and tunnel all the way.
Speaking of Eric Adams having fun, did you guys see the clip on his Twitter account of him sliding down the fire pole in a firehouse?
Just having a good time.
And he says in his first term as mayor, he wants to slide down every pole at every firehouse in New York City. Here in Austin, is anyone here familiar with the legendary Texas comedian Bill Hicks? Got some Bill Hicks fans? Good. I'm going to borrow a joke from him for South by Southwest. Okay. By a show of hands in the audience here today, does anyone work in the fields of crypto or NFT? Show of hands, anyone? Okay, well...
There's one way back.
Okay, well, okay.
We got one guy. Oh my God.
All right, good. Please kill yourself. By rope, by bridge, by knife, by gun, end your wretched life before it's too late. The Washington Post obtained a recording of the call, and in it, Biden officials stressed the power these creators had in communicating with their followers. We recognize this is a critically important avenue in the way the American public is finding out about the latest, said White House Director of Digital Strategy Rob Flaherty. Boo. So we wanted to make sure you had the latest information from an authoritative source. Jules Turpik, a Gen Z content creator who makes TikTok essays about digital culture.
Jules Turpik, whose name came from when they passed out from lean and put their head on their fucking keyboard.
That is a Eastern European name.
Jules Turpik said the White House's decision to engage creators such as she was essential in helping stop the spread of misinformation. Those who have an audience can ideally set the tone for how others decide to assess and amplify what they see online, she said. I'm just thinking of like World War II era propaganda, but for like TikTokers, or it's just like when you don't post, you support Hitler. Or it's just like, it's Vladimir Putin like leering over your keyboard, and it's just like, take the day off. Don't post about the news. Thanks, Vladimir.
So the idea here is like, we tell these TikTokers what's going on in Ukraine, and because they are goldfish, they believe us, and then they spew it to their followers, who then, because they're even smaller goldfish, believe them. For what? What are they going to do? They don't even vote. They don't do anything. They're children. What difference does it make what they think about Ukraine?
I don't know. No one's ever tried like combining swag and the news.
I mean,
well, except for the three gentlemen you see on stage here today.
That's right.
We're all 63 years young. You know, our time's
No,
passed.
the only way this makes sense is if they're hoping that a inconsequential percentage of the young, unemployed, footloose, and anxious, and hormonally charged TikTokerati listen to this shit and then like volunteer to go over and fight on our behalf because we cannot send our own army over. Like, that's it. Like TikTok brigades, like a TikTok international brigade going to Kiev. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because otherwise, what difference does it make what they fucking think?
After the call, several influencers said they felt more empowered to debunk misinformation and communicate effectively about the crisis.
To who? For why?
TikTok has been overrun with false and misleading news since the war broke out, and on Thursday, the company said it would finally begin labeling state-controlled media on its platform.
What about ours? That's you literally just
This is
said
an article about them being briefed by the U.S. state.
Creating a whole thing of state-controlled media, but that is not going to fall under the umbrella of state-controlled media.
Okay. How about this though? Okay. Pretend I'm writing for a Netflix show that gets canceled after 45% of an episode. How about a bunch of kick-ass women call out the fuckboy behavior of the ghosting of Kiev. Pretty cool.
Can you not say,
What if they did that?
Can you not say that both state-funded regimes of information are by definition misinformation?
What if you support them both? I like it when America does it. I like it when Russia does it.
I like that better, honestly. But picking one is dumb. Like, if you interrogate the decision to pick one misinformation stream over the other as being closer to the truth because you don't fucking know. You're just getting it from the stream like everybody else. Picking one channel over the other is arbitrary, and you don't fucking know. And at the end of the day, it's like I'm drilling a hole in my head and making a decision. If you decide both are bullshit, I accept that. And if you decide both are nice, I accept that too. Those are both far superior and more respectful than picking either of them.
All right, so we're gonna do here now at South by Southwest. We're gonna do Pod Tank. We got some guys here. We got some pitches, and we're gonna be the Pod Sharks.
Yeah.
And I'm putting up real money here. I'm gonna be an angel investor on one of these podcasts here today. We're gonna have some podcasts pitched to us, and you give it to us, the original kings of content. We're the podcast entrepreneurs. You bring us your podcast idea.
Podtrepreneurs, please.
And we're gonna make some dreams here today, or crush them.
Hopefully, mostly crush.
Depending on how it goes. So, Chris, you want to kick this off?
Yes, but first, let us introduce the Sharks. Will Menaker. By figuring out how to rip MP3s off YouTube, Will Menaker created one of the most profitable podcasts ever and is now a podcast thousandaire. He's an angel investor in The Gay Chapo, also known as Seeking Derangements, and a frequent guest on Cumtown. Felix Biederman overcame an upper-middle-class childhood and ADHD/autism before it could get you pussy to become one of the youngest media executives in New York history at age 25. At age 25, Felix was a thousandaire with tens of thousands of listeners and a high single-digit body count. Now, years later, at 24, Felix is a thousandaire with low double-digit body count and the Moonveil Katana in Elden Ring. He has management deals with podcasts about List and Episode 1 that are so abusive, both shows have attempted signing with Birdman and Cash Money. Matt Chrisman is just happy to be here. Is Jonathan Randall in the house? Is Jonathan Randall in the house?
Here he is.
There's a boy.
All right,
All right.
come up to
Let's bring
the
him up.
stage. There's stairs over there. Jonathan Randall is a computer science student with an idea for putting the beam on one of Chapo's most notorious enemies.
Hello.
Ooh.
Sorry about that, Sharks. Okay, I wrote some stuff down. I have a lot of ideas for this. Hi, I'm Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be
Hello, Jonathan.
before the Sharks today. I'm here to present the Dershowitz effect.
Ooh.
The worst day of Alan Dershowitz's life was when he was accused of having sex with minors, of course. The second worst day...
Thanks.
Someone's taking a stand.
The second worst day of Alan Dershowitz's life, when Epstein was killed by himself in jail, removing any chance of Alan Dershowitz representing him in court.
The best day of his life was when his first wife killed herself.
This was a huge missed opportunity for Dershowitz, the criminal law expert, but it doesn't have to be the end of the story. Imagine, if you will, an alternate timeline where Epstein survives and Dershowitz has a chance to defend both his client, to some extent himself, in a true trial of the century. In this new timeline, Dershowitz could craft a legal defense at the cutting edge of case law. Think gay panic defense, the glove that didn't fit OJ, Prince Andrew who physically incapable of sweating. Everything is on the table. All the cards are out. But it's up to Dershowitz what direction he wants to take it. All I ask from the Sharks today is to cover the 100 per video fee Alan Dershowitz charges on Cameo now.
Jonathan, we read your podcast request.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is an idea that's a three sharker. You're gonna get all the sharks on board this idea. So
we are so into
this idea.
It's a fairly full train. You see a Loxodon sleeping soundly along a bench. You see a bubble blowing from his trunk. Two halflings on the other end of the car are cranking a Magitech box as loudly as they can for everyone to hear. You see an off-duty orc cop pats for his sword and realizes it's not there and just sort of shrugs. And standing arms akimbo at the front of the train car, so sort of like farther down from you guys, is one of the Sawatha Guardian Aasimar. Their eyes are glowing white and with like righteous angelic fury, and they intently watch everything that's going on in the subway, as is their job, or self-appointed job. Volfil, have you ridden this? You've ridden the subterranean way. Did you often ride it, or you said the best way to go from point A to point B?
I spent roughly 1/3 of the first 18 years of my life on the subterranean way, and it's really sort of second nature to me. So I sort of elbow Matt and Arathorn. I make a point to just sort of like point out to them one of the black cities, like just sort of like a real black city treat. I'm pointing out the advertising tapestry for the famous apothecary, Dr. Zizmore, who promises beautiful boil-free skin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go.
This is great. Like, this is really what the Black City is all about. Even under Lord de Bungaloreau's reign, you can't take away like the heart of the city, even though it's dying now. Obviously, it's dying. But, like, just hearing that the music those lads over there are playing. They're playing one of my favorite musicians, Nary Coinless once more, young lad.
Oh my god! And you see, you get to another stop, and the doors open. They like crank open, like, and you see a little goblin get on with a tattered cape and a bucket atop of his head. You can feel his anticipation as he stands right in the center of the train, and you can see everyone else's controlled and polite exasperation as he says, "Greetings all! My name is Malik Nini Obama, the Goblin King, but you can call me Nini. I am the true king of goblins, but I was cast aside and forgotten by my brother, the once Muslim king. Now, I am seeking donations, anything you can give, so that I can start rebuilding my kingdom and cleansing the streets of the tyranny wrought by the blue cloaks." And he takes his bucket off of his head and starts holding it out. "Please, I will take any coin or blood you can give in my crown." The Guardian Aasimar behind him moves swiftly towards it. He says, "Citizen, it is illegal and dangerous to solicit the blood of strangers." The off-duty orc cop just like gets up and goes to the next car. He's like, I don't want to give a shit. And he says, "Oh, please, sir, have heart. I'm a humble goblin prince. I just wish to rebuild my kingdom. Create a realm of peace for all, unblooded or otherwise." And you see the Guardian who says, "Regardless of my personal feelings, it is our duty to uphold order. That is what Curtis wants. That is what is right to do. and your flagrant disobedience has given me sufficient reason to do something bad to you. And so, you see Nini. He's like sort of like looking around, fearful. His eyes meet yours for a second. He's like looking for help. You see Giuliano kind of go to you guys, go, no, let's just try to keep a low profile here, okay? We're lucky the towers are down. There's nobody after you guys. Let's try to keep a low profile. But what do you guys want to do?
Being an experienced subterranean way navigator, like I just, like obviously you are face to face with humanity, goblin manity, and you see all kinds of inhumanity and in-goblin-manity. So I do it all Black City residents do when confronted with something like this on the subterranean way, which is look at my feet and pretend nothing's happening.
Yeah, you see Giuliano nod like approvingly. What about you two, Matt?
I do like kind of want to help this guy out, but I'm, I gotta follow the Black City expert. I similarly I put my hands in my pocket and I take that crystal that I was talking to earlier.
Yeah,
I put it in my ear and I pretend I'm listening to tunes.
Nary Coinless again.
Yeah, Nary.
Yeah, my
Coinless.
favorite. Yeah, new album, Sincerely Coinless, just came out.
Yeah, and Matt, you're just sort of following their lead. You don't want to ruffle any feathers.
I'm just talking to the dog about cool smells that we've had in our lives, reminiscing about the coolest things we've smelled.
I had one time really sweet smell underneath the table. So much different sweet sticky. You?
Shit, one time.
Oh, shit good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What shit? Who shit? My shit good. And he starts to sniff his own
I'll
butt.
be real with you. You got mids. It's mids.
Mids? No.
Yeah.
Mids is the real loud.
I mean, yeah, I can get off on. I will absolutely be gone off it, but others might just find it to only be mids. I'm sorry.
And he looks completely dumbfounded. How could mids not be the real loud? It can get you there gradual. You get the headache. It's good. And he starts to
It's just I've been, I've been on crusade. I've been on that that Middle Eastern shit. It's far beyond. I've never experienced it.
Oh,
the
you must
camel.
Take me.
Oh my god.
Are there children in the crusade?
Yeah, oh yeah, bunch of them.
Oh, you must take me. I'd love to eat.
After this, buddy, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the one that's burning up my timeline today. It's Eric Levitt's writing in New York Magazine, headline, "The left has half-baked answers on Ukraine."
Oh,
I'd like some fully baked ones, please.
I want to be fully baked.
I'd like them
please.
to be crisp and golden brown.
How about, you know what? Honestly, I know it takes longer, but it's worth it. Give me some twice baked ideas.
Yeah, there needs to be fully cooked ideas. Just send them weapons with no preconditions or anything for 8 years and just see what happens.
Fully baked ideas, like what our former Secretary of State explicitly said: turn it into Afghanistan. That's the fully baked idea, if I've ever heard one.
The premise of this article is that there are fully baked ideas to be had here. But
Delicious.
I think it's starting off. No cap gang continues to take massive losses in Q1 2022.
Do you realize that two countries who were both doing No Cap November have never gone to war with each other?
This is the thing here. This is why articles exist here, is that nobody, right, left, or center, has any good or fully baked ideas when it comes to, I don't know, how to deal with Russia trying to create their own empire, or basically there is no good answer to a nuclear armed state.
Yeah,
it's deciding that okay, we're just going to go to war with a country that doesn't have bombs.
Yeah, no, it's.
There was no answer for America doing that.
No.
No one else in the world could stop us doing Iraq or Afghanistan.
This is what the collapse of the precious and beloved international order looks like, and wishing it went the other way doesn't change it. That's not fully baked either. That's just whining.
Well, yeah, right now is it is the greatest time to just say the most decontextualized things possible. I've seen people go, I'm against American intervention and the war, obviously, but doesn't Ukraine have agency to join NATO? It's a apartment building co-op. But this specific type of article, which the left has no power in America. Why would you write this article? Because your point of view has won. It's the only point of view that we've ever fucking seen. This article completely, because of that, it cannot talk about the past at all. So anyone even tangentially associated with DSA talking about maybe saying that like maybe the strategy of escalation and like expanding NATO past 1991, maybe we're looking at its failures right now.
Right.
That is just that's Holocaust denial, basically.
Yeah.
You can't say that. You can't talk about the past because if you're writing one of these articles, we are seeing the fruition of your worldview. Was there a time in the Obama administration when like the DSA International Committee was in charge of foreign policy? Did Trump give like a Twitter Stalinist an important post at state? No, this has been running the show the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
For you, there's always going to be a part of you where it's like, yeah, you grew up outside. But now there's this new part of you. And I think it's very interesting that before all this, you were convinced that you wanted to kill God. Well, what if I told you there's a new way where you don't have to kill God, you don't have to, like, no offense to our other friend, like, you don't have to, like, worship trees. That's out. What if I told you there's a religion and a way of life for people that are born of your circumstances, like, kind of like, the middle to high up there, where you don't kill God, but you don't really know who he is or why he's doing anything. You're always questioning him. And the point is that the older you get, the further away from any type of concrete answer you get. But the deeper into it you get, there are more rules that are from God, but there are also more ways that you can break those rules. What if you became someone like that, where that's your struggle?
Breaking rules is pretty fun.
All right. Well, how about I officially knight you as a Jewish person? But a new type of Judaism that I'm inventing. A reformed Judaism.
Will there be succulent foodstuffs from the Orient at key harvest festival times?
Oh my God, yeah. So I'm thinking about this. Yes. During agricultural holidays, we will have the finest feast from the Orient.
Okay.
When all other inns are closed and only these ones are open.
That sounds good. You got me.
Yeah, you can still, by the way, you can still eat swine. You just oh, I know I shouldn't do this.
So Morgenthau is beginning to lose it. And later that year, he wrote this letter to George H.W. Bush, who was serving as the director of the CIA. This is an incredible letter that he wrote his old friend George. It's dated Dallas, September 5th. Dear George, you will excuse this handwritten letter. Maybe you will be able to bring a solution to the hopeless situation I find myself in. My wife and I find ourselves surrounded by some vigilantes. Our phone bugged and we are being followed everywhere. Either FBI is involved in this or they do not want to accept my complaints. We are driven to insanity by the situation. I have been behaving like a damn fool ever since my daughter Nadia died from cystic fibrosis over 3 years ago. I tried to write stupidly and unsuccessfully about Lee H. Oswald, and it must have angered a lot of people. I do not know, but to punish an elderly man like myself and my highly nervous and sick wife is really too much. Could you do something to remove the net around us? This will be my last request for help, and I will not annoy you anymore. Good luck in your important job. Thank you so much. Sincerely, George de Morenschild, 2737 Kings Road, apartment 142, if anyone wants to check that out.
First floor apartment, pretty tough for a JFK co-conspirator. You have to fuck up so bad to have known Bush your entire life, to have helped kill Kennedy, and you end up being this guy. It's like Joe Biden's dad missing out on the great wave of post-war prosperity. Two of the biggest bag fumbles of all time.
So obviously this letter hits the CIA's mail department.
I just want to say
Ari Gold was working.
I just want to say, if I ever get the chance to write a letter to a secretary-level individual, I'm absolutely going to sign it off. Good luck with your important job.
He's like a pestering Jewish mom.
So imagine you're in the CIA mail department and you get a handwritten letter from a guy speaking on very friendly terms with the director of the CIA, and the guy happens to be a guy who is like more associated with the Kennedy assassination than anyone other than Lee Harvey Oswald. So it's like routed around the agency, and like all these notes are appended to it, and then it finally gets across Director Bush's desk with this memo: "Mr. Bush, do you know this individual?" This is a side note to the director. And then in an internal CIA note, George H.W. Bush responded, "I do know this man, de Mohrenschildt. I first met him in the early 40s. He was an uncle to my Andover roommate. Later, he surfaced in Dallas in the 50s, maybe? He got involved in some controversial dealings in Haiti. Then he surfaced when Oswald shot to prominence. He knew Oswald before the assassination of President Kennedy." So that's like, I love that response because this is the head of the CIA who doesn't really recall much of anything about a close family friend who was that close to the guy who supposedly killed the president. But he refers to his controversial dealings in Haiti. I love that that's like such intelligence OPSEC because he's talking about like, well, I recall he did some controversial things in Haiti and not the vastly more controversial dealings with Lee Harvey Oswald. So George Bush, director of the CIA, actually penned a personal response to George. It reads as such: "Dear George, please forgive the delay in my reply to your September 5th letter. It took time to thoroughly explore the matters you raised. Let me first say that I know it must have been difficult for you to seek my help in the situation outlined in your letter. I believe I can appreciate your state of mind in view of your daughter's tragic death a few years ago and the current poor state of your wife's health. I was extremely sorry to hear of these circumstances. In your situation, I can well imagine how the attentions you described in your letter affect both you and your wife. However, my staff has been unable to find any indication of interest in your activities on the part of federal authorities in recent years. The flurry of interest that has attended your testimony before the Warren Commission has long since subsided. I can only suspect that you have become newsworthy, in quotation marks again, and in view of the renewed interest in the Kennedy assassination, and thus may be attracting the attention of people in the media. I hope this letter has been of some comfort to you, George, although I realize I am unable to answer your question completely. Thank you for your good wishes on my new job. As you can imagine, I'm finding it interesting and challenging. Very truly yours, George Bush, Director." Okay, so Dallas, Texas, would it surprise you to learn that George de Mohrenschildt's life took a turn for the worse after sending the director of the CIA?
What? No, but he asked his old friend for help.
In November of that year, just 1 month after writing the letter, George's wife had him committed to a mental institution for 3 months at where? Dallas Parkland Hospital. That's right. You might remember Parkland as the hospital Kennedy was rushed to after getting his head blown off. She claimed, okay, so his wife, when upon admitting him, claimed that he had attempted suicide 3 times. Just important to get that on the record. He had been attempting suicide 3 times already. So if he ever pulls it off, just know there's a precedent there. He claimed, he attempted suicide, was hearing voices, and believed that the FBI and Jewish mafia was out to get him. Literally everyone but the CIA. And so his wife had him committed, in which he was treated with electroshock therapy. Oh. A year after, spoiler alert, George de Mohrenschildt kills himself. A year after his death, though, his wife would go on to tell a journalist a very different story about what precipitated George's hospitalization. I'm reading Family of Secrets here. She claimed that a doctor had appeared in Dallas for a brief period and administered injections to him. Following those injections, she said, George suffered a nervous breakdown, at which point she decided to have him hospitalized. The doctor, she claimed, vanished into thin air. I'll also note here, Jeanne de Mohrenschildt, George's wife, was also longtime friends with former CIA director Richard Helms.
All right, well, Houston, Texas, we have a little bit of
sort of like a legal business issue we need to wrap up here before we leave the state of Texas. You know, we've been here a week, we've been doing shows, we've been making money in the state of Texas, so there's just something we need to do to make sure we don't get in any trouble with the authorities. So, Felix?
Yeah, no, guys, this is just, like, if you'll bear with us, this is just housekeeping. This is, like, it's dirty, but, like, every company has to do it. We have to do this to, like, continue operating in the state and hopefully come back this day. But I will need everyone on stage to join me in reciting the Texas-mandated anti-BDS Pledge of Allegiance to Israel.
Let's go.
All right, guys.
Can you please stand?
Yeah.
If you, I'm sorry.
Chris, can you play the anthem?
Yes.
All right. Before an app is funded in angel investing rounds.
Before an app is funded in angel investing round.
Before a link is found between regular shorts and pants.
Before a link is found before regular shorts and pants.
Before Jonathan Pollard's heroic quest.
Before Jonathan Pollard's heroic quest.
Before a collab with Jonathan Van Ness.
Jonathan Van Ness.
A rose blooms in the desert. I pledge allegiance to the state of Israel.
Rose blooms in the desert.
I pledge allegiance to the state of Israel.
Even if I come down from Mali.
Even if I come down from Mali.
Even if my restaurant doesn't combine a custom pizza experience with a hip-hop club atmosphere.
Even if my restaurant doesn't combine a custom pizza experience with a hip-hop club atmosphere.
Even if my skin burns, my cataracts worsen, and my mom has me when she is 40, I will not waver. Let's build that third temple.
Let's build that third temple.
Let's build that third temple.
Okay. All right.
Thank you guys for your patience.
That's all. We just needed to do that.
We don't want to get in trouble,
operating.
so we had to cross our I's, dot our T's, and star our bars on that one.
Yeah.
Noah and his parents are sitting in a room filled with framed photos of DeRay McKinnison, Hannah Gadsby, and Sean Penn as Harvey Milk, but not actually any pictures of Harvey Milk. There are posters written in that blocky Pinterest liberal font with affirmational phrases on them like, love is love, and there's no shame in needing help to find out who you really are. Parents David and Rebecca are seated closer together, far away from an angry and besooted Noah. A visibly Jewish man in a lab coat enters.
All right. New faces. That's always a mitzvah. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Epstein. What can Radical Acceptance Family Services do for you today? I can't imagine a couple as handsome as you would need our open relationship counseling, but you never want to make assumptions.
It's our son, Doctor.
Just a few weeks ago, he was a happily gay boy. We had him signed up for a drag show that he was supposed to be performing at this past Saturday. Then something changed.
Nothing changed. I'm still your son. This is who I've always been. I've just found the confidence to show you.
Feelings of temporary heterosexuality are common in kids nearing major life events, Noah. How old are you?
I'm 17.
Oh, ripe age. It's a stressful one, though. I'm sure with college looming, there's a lot on your mind.
Well, Noah got a full-ride scholarship to Oberlin to be on their infographic team.
That's wonderful, but I'm sure there are still many things that are stressing you out and maybe causing this change of behavior.
The only stress I'm having is my parents trying to make me something I'm not. My whole life, they wanted me to be someone else. They took me to see Pet Shop Boys before I could walk. They have the password to my Insta and post stories about how I stan Charlie XCX. I don't stan her, Mom. I think she's fucking hot. I'm not giving anything or serving cunt, and I want to smash her. And Sydney Sweeney and Sarah J.
Rebecca starts crying.
Noah, apologize to your mother.
No, Dad. This is who I am. If you were more like your brothers, maybe you could accept that I'm not your guy's little project and that I'm a real person.
More like my brothers?
Brax and Gaffin have taught me more about being myself than either of you have.
David looks confused.
Noah, I can tell that you're very upset, but we don't do anything here at Radical Acceptance that's forceful. We use the most advanced technology in our field to help kids become who they really are inside. And at the end of it, I promise you, no matter what, you're going to feel like yourself.
Noah, he's promising you. If he breaks a promise, he has to wait all the way till Yom Kippur to make up for it.
Noah shrugs.
Okay, Fine. We'll try your thing.
Dr. Epstein leads Noah into an adjoining room. He turns off the harsh office fluorescence and hits a remote. The room is now a sexy purplish pink. He directs Noah to a Bosu ball. Noah gets over and sits on the ball. 2 prongs come out of the floor and rotate to put shackles on Noah's wrists.
Wait, what is this? Why am I being restrained?
At the same time, David and Rebecca are led to a room on the side where they're hidden by a one-way mirror.
What is this? I thought they just showed him a video.
It's a medical procedure, David. It's safe. Janice from my book club told me all about it.
Dr. Epstein puts completely black goggles on and walks over to Noah with a large syringe.
This is just going to pinch a little bit.
He rolls up Noah's sleeve and sticks the needle in.
Ow! What the hell was in that?
It's just Red Bull, vodka, mint jewel nicotine salt, and a little Molly. It's going to keep you nice and relaxed and a little alert, and this will be over before you know it.
Lady Gaga, Born This Way, starts playing as a screen descends from the ceiling. The screen turns on. It's JVN from Queer Eye appears in front of a desk at a dark background.
Hi, lovelies. If you're seeing this video, it's because someone loves you very, very, very much. They love you so much that they want to use state-of-the-art technology and compassion to help you remember who you really are. So sit back, put on your best joggers, slap on a mud mask, and try to forget, the past, like 2 years. Scratch that since 2016, and have fun.
The video starts slow with the infographic-style still images and phrases like, "Queer Friendsgiving with chosen family is a vibe," and "Protect Doug Emhoff at all costs." And bubbly-limbed, faceless humanoid illustrations fly across the screen. As the song speeds up, the anamorphous infographic blobs transform into sexy Tom of Finland drawings. Those give way to rapid montage of clips from The Good Wife, Nanette, the Hillary episode of Broad City, Glee, the weird dance Kamala did at the Pride Parade, etc. Noah squirms and tries to close his eyes, but the Molly from the injection forces them open. Behind the glass, David looks horrified as Rebecca watches sternly.
He's in pain, Rebecca.
Oh, so you know better than the doctors now, David?
Noah clearly is in pain. David starts pounding the glass.
Stop this. Get my son off that Bosu ball.
Dr. Epstein sighs. He dejectedly hits a switch and everything in the room goes back to normal.
What are you doing, David? It was working.
Unfortunately, Ms. Weintraub, we have to stop if a parent instructs us to. Despite the nuclear family being the biggest obstacle to child liberation, the law is the law.
Dr. Epstein hits the remote and Noah's restraints retract back into the floor and desk. Noah bolts to the door.
Noah, come back!
You would never be my chosen family. I never want to see you again.
He runs out and slams the door.
Great work putting your fragility on display, David.
I want our son back just as bad as you, but I'm not going to let them put our boy in shackles and ball gags. This isn't it, Rebecca. This is so not it.
You know what? Why don't you find your own way home, David?
That's a great idea. Actually, forget that. I'm sleeping in my office tonight.
David storms out. There's a stony silence in the room.
So that's still $23,495.95. Your insurance, unfortunately, is not on network, but we do have financing options at just 32.5% APR.
Scene.
I think the secret to being a good uncle or dad is to disappear like Batman. Kind of like my dad. I'm just kidding. That's bad.
I'm still thinking about the rig welder Batman being like, "Where are my Hummer keys? Where did I leave the leftovers last night?"
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm too drunk to drive. I'm not better when I've had a few.
What is my son's name?
Sorry, I pushed my wife into the pool too hard. I think Texas Batman is the next thing they have to pursue.
Yeah. Well, it's got to get grittier and grittier.
So they went gritty with Bale. They went like emo with Pattinson. The next thing is like
oil and gas, like rig welder Batman.
They need a Batman who doesn't punch the mentally ill. He runs people over with his truck.
Yeah.
That's it. He never gets out of his fucking truck.
Joker's on the side of the 610 loop, and he just coal rolls across the whole fucking.
You think drunk driving is your idea?
Yeah.
I was born in it.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine the Batmobile is like a 10-foot tall dually with like one of those Calvin pissing on Obama's head bumper stickers, you know?
He has to step on like Alfred's shoulders to get up in there.
5'7" rig welder South Texas Batman.
It's sitting on 42-inch American forces, and it's all blacked out except for the rims. So
Right,
it's not really
yeah.
open at all.
The truck monthly payment is $955. How the fuck do I afford this with 6 child support payments? Goddamn.
Alfred is his gardener.
Yeah. I was gonna say like the warehouse foreman, but like the gardener is much better. I will not do the voice. I have a job in real life.
We're out. You can imagine the voice.
You can imagine the voice in your own
I'm not
head.
sure what voice you're referring to.
Tom is like, please, I need more detail.
I was just wondering.
Well, if you've watched Fox News at all over the last a week or so, it's all about how Disney is grooming kids. It's all about this grooming panic that's going on right now. And I think that's interesting that's going on right now is like this. So there's a point someone made that I thought was interesting is like that in this okay groomer thing that people are talking about. What they're talking about is just Disney or educators or anyone acknowledging that gay people or trans people exist. Like that's grooming to them. And I think the interesting thing that's going on here is the total secularization of anti-gay panic and hysteria. Because it used to be it was exclusively a religious thing.
Right, yeah.
About gay marriage. That was all about, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But with this, I think and I was astonished by the speed at which gay marriage ceased to be a controversial issue in this country after the Supreme Court made it legal. But that hasn't gone away, and they're going to bring it back. But it's going to be under this grooming hysteria, and this idea that the Disney Corporation and just its teachers or whatever are pedophiles. But what's interesting is that it's a hatred of sexual minorities that has been successfully cleaved from religious pathology and religious fervor and motivation. And I think it's interesting because what we see in DeSantis and the Trump conservatives, this kind of the national conservatism, the nationalist conservatism that we've been talking about is what are they really interested in? They don't like foreign entanglements, but they want culture war here in America, and they want it in a very literal sense. And the thing that we've talked about on the show a lot of times is that the right wing in this country has basically has a veto power over every single lever of the political process, despite being a minority in this country. And it's not. I think what they're this fixation that they have on the culture right now is that they're not at all satisfied with just having an outsized influence in the government, despite their lack of the population or actual democratic consent or power. I think they're really serious about waging this culture war and changing the culture through legislation or otherwise, to make it so that Disney movies are just cartoons about white people. Or that don't have the gay people just won't exist anymore in fucking Disney movies or whatever.
Well, I mean, they could. That's what they might want, but that can't happen. As you said, they have this power over the political process, but they have zero power over the cultural production process. They're nowhere there.
They're seeking that power through they're seeking that power through legislation. And through, censorship.
Yeah, but they can't get it, and the political people don't want it. They don't really want it. They want there to be gay shit in Disney. They want something that pisses off their people every time they turn on the television. They want their people to have something that they think they can get out of voting, which is something that Democratic voters have basically completely lost, and which is a huge asymmetry in mobilization power that is going to massively increases the Republican electoral power relative to the Democrats, and in the same way that gerrymandering and things like that do. Because if you're a Republican and you have this thing, this alienated, multicultural woke culture that is that has to be created by things like Disney, that a company like Disney sort of is required to promote, because it's trying to adapt to a changing demographic, which is increasingly multicultural and embraces gender variety and all this shit, because that's where the people who make up companies like Disney come from. That's what the culture is where they are, and that also represents like future dollars. They can't go to the stuff that these people want is in the mind of people at Disney. That's a recipe for eventual extinguishment, because it's a dying demographic, but politically it's incredibly powerful. And what makes it powerful is that you can every day feel like your kid is getting brainwashed in school and by their entertainment, and that by voting for Republicans, they will do things like have them pass the Don't Say Gay bill, which, I'm sorry, that's not going to do what the fuck they want it to do. It's not going to make it's not going to humble Disney or woke media. It's only going to make them more strident in pursuing an agenda in order to reassure their people that they're not in board. Like, look at what Disney was quietly funding the same politicians who passed this Don't Say Gay bill. And the reason everyone's mad at them now is because they had to come out and explicitly condemn it after it passed. So
after they gave all that money to DeSantis.
Sides push each other. Their polarization is inevitable, and it helps both sides. And nobody in any position of power has any actual interest in seeing this actually change, and most of them know it can't. But it's one of the last things in American politics that is a value proposition to a voter. Everything else, I mean, what does a Democrat tell a Democratic voter when they're trying to justify them getting out of the house on a Tuesday to vote and standing in line? What the fuck can they tell them other than keep these psychos out of office? So once again, them doing this is also a gift to Democrats.
I would slightly disagree with you, like in this regard only. I mean, I think you're right that for the political and media actors who benefit greatly from the ongoing and increasingly venomous culture war issues, I think like neither side, but particularly the Republican ones, has any real desire in changing the culture or seeing things stop. They just want like something they can tell their voters that they're doing. I would say though the slight difference though is I think like the people who don't really have power, the people who like to imagine themselves as having power, like the sort of the intellectual Trumpists, the Adrian Turdmeal, that guy, Christopher Rufio, the guys like that. I think they are not happy with simply having a undemocratic check on the political process that they can wield in perpetuity. I think they realize that like whatever political victory that they ever are going to achieve, through fraud or legitimately, will taste like ashes if they are still considered weirdos by the culture at large. And I think that they have no problem, using the Supreme Court or state governments to forcibly change and sort of wage a culture conf. To make it so that they seem like the normal ones and not the fucking weirdos.
If that happens, it's not going to be because they've changed passed a national law and dictated Disney's output by force. It'll be because national structures have broken down and they're able to put up like a great firewall of Florida so that no TikToks about trans people can get in or something like that. I really do think that anybody who's really serious about resolving the culture war one way or the other, if they're not a complete delusional mutant, is not looking for some sort of nationwide revolution. The numbers just won't work there. They're looking for balkanization. so that like Florida can be cleansed, but you're not going to take over anything at the national level. And I think more likely is we're just going to keep pushing this fucking boulder up the mountain until the struts break, and then people are just it's gonna be the laboratories of democracy in the states that are gonna get nutty with it.
So in case you missed what Cawthorn originally said, here it is. He goes, the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington, being kind of a young guy in Washington where the average age is probably 60 or 70, you look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics. Then all of a sudden you get invited, we're going to have a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. It's a sexual get-together. We're gonna have a
very sexual get-together.
We're gonna have a sexual-style brunch at my house in Georgetown. Madison, we'd love it if you attended. He goes here, we're going to have a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. What did you just ask me to come to? And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Some of the people leading on the movement to try to remove addiction in our country, and then you watch them do a key bump of cocaine right in front of you, and it's like, this is wild.
Actually, Madison, if they're doing key bumps, it shows that they are aware of the problem of addiction, and they're being moderate in their imbibing. Yeah. You should applaud them for it.
Who do we think? Who do we think was hosting the sexual get-together, and who do we think was doing coke in front of him? Because he did it. We think that there's some element of cap here, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But again, the McCarthy reaction is such that there's something there.
Oh yeah.
No, I think they're probably they had a meeting when he was elected, and they were like, don't invite this blabbermouth to any of our cocaine.
Yeah.
Meetings. And then he just capped about it, and he accidentally revealed the truth about what they get up to. And I think the guys leading these orgies are probably Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise. Well, Steve Scalise's got to remove his shit bag before he, takes part in any of the fun.
He could still do cocaine, but allegedly,
he puts it in his through a catheter.
According to some rumors, would not have the necessary equipment for the orgy. He could possibly go around eating everyone's pussy. Who knows? That is what I've heard.
But the thing though is I know the right, the right wing in this country, they have a reputation as being prudes and fucking they not liking to party. But these guys are all fucking demons. They love to party. They love drugs. They love fucking orgies. They love doing gay shit. They love doing. It's a group grope, Bob. Madison, is that your finger up my asshole?
Yeah, what they don't believe in anything, so what the hell are they there for?
No, it's they have money and power, and with money and power comes the freedom to engage in things that you punish other people for.
Absolutely.
It's the righteous man has to project as long as you advertise a virtuous style of life to the peons that you're fleecing every day, that is what gives you permission to engage in all of the sick and decadent activities you accuse other people of doing. Just continuing with Saliza here, he says, this is a very big allegation to make without naming any names. I love Saliza's just he doesn't care about the allegation. He's like, just give me the names. Give me their phone number.
I want to be able to rank the fuck styles of Washington's biggest perverts.
Can you imagine being in an orgy and seeing Chuck Grassley there?
Oh my God. Imagine you go to a big, what's that? Capitol Grill. You go to Capitol Grill, you eat 37 ounces of porterhouse. Some guys are passing you a vial. You do a few bumps of 58% purity cocaine in the bathroom. You're feeling terrible, and then they're like, "Oh, but there's a second act." And you go upstairs to so one of those hotel suites that has a living room and everything. And Clay Higgins pops out of a birthday cake.
Well, we get it, boys. I'm ringing. He ringing the dinner bell with his old dangus.
We're gonna make a big old roux in my asshole tonight.
Those are probably the best orgies of all time because 98% of the participants ate 4 pounds of beef before.